Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. How's everybody doing this morning? Lots to chat about our last Sunday in May already. Hope you're enjoying the late spring. Summer soon to hit us. Lots to talk about today, and we'll get into all of it. It's your show. Make sure that you bring the comments. You can talk about anything you want, from the NBA to Major League Baseball, the NHL, WNBA, NFL, college football. There's something to talk about in every one of those areas tonight. So feel free to comment on whatever you want to talk about, and we'll jump around. That's what we do here. That's why we call it the Stream of Consciousness. I want to welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I want to thank all the groups that allow us to share this, dozens and dozens and dozens of them. You guys have been instrumental in the growth of the views of the show, which have been astronomical the last 4 months. Now we want to move. Now we want to grow the subscribers too, and we're starting to grow the YouTube side as well. But the groups have been instrumental, especially the ones you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen all the time. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, The Love of Baseball, Bottom Line Sports with Can and Flo. They do a great podcast that when Flo gives me the heads up, I try to share if I'm paying attention. Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause from Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. And quick shout out, and we'll get some others here. We'll kind of try to switch this up. I got to put another scrolling banner together, and we'll kind of move them on and off, because there's some others I really should be thanking on a more regular basis. But another quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh-focused national footprint, especially the Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. There you go. Lots to chat about today, guys. We'll get into the NBA. The Spurs, for the first time since 2000 and, geez, when is it? 16? Can't be 12. Anyway, they're in the finals. They're going for their 6th championship. They're 5th all time in championships, by the way, in the NBA, and didn't join the NBA till the 70s. We'll talk a little bit about that victory last night. We'll talk about the Knicks and Spurs upcoming series. We had a little debate about Duncan and Wemby. Who would you take, Duncan or Wemby? If you're a Spurs fan, I'm still taking Duncan. He's the most fundamentally sound player, maybe in NBA history, certainly that I've seen in my lifetime. But we can debate that a little bit. We can talk the flopping situation with the NBA fixing the draft, by the way, which is something else we can chat about if you like. Now they need to fix flopping, because maybe they need to give out yellow cards like soccer does. But line up those comments. We'll get into all that. Baseball, we'll talk. We had a little ABS glitch last night in the Yankee game. Thought it couldn't go wrong. I thought it was a perfect system. But anyway, if I'm getting the calls right, which they got that one wrong. Tatis hits his first home run since last September. September 27th was his last home run. 240 at-bats. Killing one of my fantasy teams, I can tell you. I'm about done with that. We got some injuries. Lee Mazzilli and Bobby Valentine inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame yesterday. That's something we can certainly chat about if you like. Garrett Cole back and really good in his first 2 starts. Let's not get too excited. That arm has to stay healthy. How about the antics of the Brewers pitcher Uribe this week? Got him 1-game suspension for the crotch chop. I mean, come on, this isn't professional wrestling or Pete Weber on the bowling lanes. Let's clean it up a little bit. CB Buckner mysteriously missing from the umpiring ranks, by the way. He's had a I think a groin injury or hamstring injury, but he may be going the Angel Hernandez way here. The NHL, we've got Vegas against the Canadiens. And a couple of sad notes, too. The great Claude Lemieux, who somehow is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame, sadly took his own life this week, and our thoughts and prayers go to his wife. And, you know, I joke a lot about sometimes about the way people think, and, you know, they're, you know, I really shouldn't make light of mental health the way that I do. And I'll try to be more cognizant of that. Again, don't mean to offend anybody, but this is a serious thing, and I hope that Claude Lemieux now can rest in peace, and his family and friends get through this time. And Dennis Hull, brother Bobby Hull, really a good player in his own right with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he might have gone to WHA with his brother for a while. Dennis Hull passed away this past weekend as well. So A.J. Brown could be headed to the Patriots or somewhere else here in the next few days. June 1st comes around, the new year starts, and all signs point to the Eagles trading A.J. Brown. We can talk about that. We can still talk about Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart really getting beat up. I'm sorry. Can we just put politics aside? Why can't players do what they want? I mean, if Abdul Carter had gone in and introduced, I don't know, Chuck Schumer, I wouldn't care. Why do we have to have these debates? Brendan Sorsby was also denied. Denied as being reinstated to the NCAA as eligibility to play at Texas Tech. He was put on the permanently ineligible list. He'll be eligible for the NFL supplemental draft, possibly. He's got to. He's still trying. They're appealing this. Texas Tech is, but by June 22nd, he's got to put his name in for the supplemental draft, and then the NFL has to say okay. And then somebody's got to pick him, obviously. We can talk about that if you like. Really, he's really a fine player, by the way. And I think if he gets in the supplemental draft, somebody picks him late. We've got college baseball and softball. We can kind of take a look at the scoreboards. I know that UCLA, in the women, I think have moved on. We'll take a look at where they are in the brackets. The men lost their first game for UCLA, the top-ranked team, and then won an elimination game yesterday. We'll take a look at the bracket at some point here. And we can also talk about the Big Ten and the SEC now in a little bit of a feud. Remember, they're the guys now in control. Well, actually, it's probably Fox and ESPN more than the Big Ten and the SEC, but they are in a big disagreement about expansion of the playoff. They both want it, but the SEC wants to take small steps, go to 16, and look at 24 later, and the Big Ten's all in on 24 right now. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we can talk about all of that and more because it's your show, and we already got a ton of comments. Well, we got a bunch, which is what we like. And if we fall behind, guys, if you're here for the first time or here for a lot of times, I'll get to your comment. We'll you won't get short trips. Rick, I know you had problems. I don't see you commenting yet. I see Rick there. So Rick had some problems, I think, on Wednesday's show, getting his comments to show. I have no control over it. I certainly have blocked no one. Well, actually, there's a couple. The guy who said I look like a giant penis. I think I blocked that guy. But I've never blocked anybody else from commenting on this show. So just bear with me. We'll get to everything, I promise. Hello, Paul. I never know. You see, I knew that was you, Paul Spada. Good to have you with us. Good morning, JB. Good to have you with us. How you feeling about your Orioles? Who's playing well in baseball? I think the Orioles have played a little better in the last 10 games. The Blue Jays have picked it up a little bit. Seattle's picked it up a lot. They're now in first place in the West. I can't read who I wrote there. And teams are fading like the Red Sox, the Tigers, and a bunch of others. We can take a look at some baseball here at some point. AC's with us. Hello, AC. How are you? Danny Fuller out in California. Keith and Jack, no show for no Jack for show today. No, Jack doesn't do today's show, Danny. This is my solo show on Sundays. I forget the days sometimes too. Jack and I are on tomorrow morning and Friday morning, Monday and Friday morning at 8 o'clock. Jack and I duke it out, if you will. There's Rick. I'm sorry, that's not Rick. That's Danny saying good morning to Rick. Hopefully Rick's able to comment. Chris F. Grade, good morning. I always feel old, but please enhance my experience. Happy 59th birthday to former Pittsburgh Kenny Lofton's 59 years old. Jeez, good happy birthday, Kenny. Great, very nice player, by the way, in his day. Isn't the other guy you too, Paul? That's got to be you, right? B Paul 368. I know that's you. How are you, Paul? Good to have you with us. I take Duncan too, right? In that Duncan Wemby debate. I mean, again, maybe in 10 years, if somebody can prop me up in front of this camera and I can still do the show, I will tell you I was wrong. If Wemby goes on and wins, how many titles? Wasn't Duncan part of all 5 of those titles? Am I wrong, Danny? 5 titles and most fundamentally sound player I've ever watched play. I'm going to say that over and over again. You take nothing away from the greats. Jordan, Magic, Bird. The most fundamentally sound player I ever watched play was Tim Duncan. And imagine how history would have played out if differently in a lot of places. We talk about the butterfly effect, right? If you know what that means. Most of us know what it means. If you don't, let me know. I'll explain it to you. The butterfly effect that would have taken place if Rick Pitino and the Boston Celtics had managed to get Tim Duncan in the NBA draft. It was that close. First question, will A.J. Brown take his liberty to New England? I need help with that one, Rick. Listen, if A.J. Brown comes to New England, I'll welcome him with open arms. We need a downfield threat. Guys like A.J. Brown have a habit of being on their best behavior in year 1. Now, whether I want to redo his contract or something and give him extra years and more money, I don't know that I'm going to do that. Not even sure where his contract stands right now. And I'm really not sure. I don't want to give up a first-round pick, and it's looking like it's not going to take a first-round pick in a player. It might take a second-round pick in a player. But it also looks like it might be Booty that has to go. In fact, Booty hasn't been at the voluntary OTAs here this past week. One of the few players on the Patriots not to show up, so not sure what that's all about. Cole's been spectacular these first. I did not listen. I thought, first of all, I thought the Yankees might have him on a shorter leash. He's thrown pitches into the 70s. I thought he might be in the 50s at least game 1, but they left him in the minors longer than normal. And when pitchers are coming back from this surgery, they're given a little bit extra rehab time, and they took advantage of it. Not as much as I thought. There was a lot of talk they'd leave him there till mid-June, but he's been, beyond terrific these first 2 starts. We'll see how that arm holds up as we go forward. And Rondon pitched good the other night too. Well, it was yesterday, Danny, and I don't know if he may have gotten the disguise out as a joke. I didn't see too many highlights of this. I saw the end of Lee Mazzilli's speech. And listen, Bobby Valentine, people can joke a lot about Bobby, listen, he had I'm sure guys like Paul Spadar don't really like Bobby Valentine. He came in and had one horrible season with the Red Sox. But he had some middling success with the Rangers, never got them to the playoffs, but they weren't great teams. And he got them over 500. I don't know, a decent amount of the time, I guess. That's not the ultimate measure of success, obviously. But he did get a flawed Met team to the World Series against the Yankees in 2000. He's the only Met manager ever to get them to back-to-back postseasons. So Bobby Valentine could manage a little bit. But Bobby Valentine's one of those guys who just couldn't get out of his own way. And, he'd always find a way to get himself in trouble. Paul says AJB will be a Patriot. I hope it works out. You got a young quarterback. We can't have a diva coming in here demanding the football. And again, as I said, these divas often come in and are on their best behavior for a year, 1 year. Look at Stephon Diggs. Pretty much everywhere he's been a model citizen. Well, other than, getting charged with beating up his former chef, which he was found not guilty of, or charges were thrown out. I don't know which. But he was on his best behavior pretty much everywhere he's been. A.J. Brown was on his best behavior when he first got to Philadelphia. I just don't know that I like giving up Booty in this trade, and that kind of looks like what's going to happen. But, you got to give up something to get something. Duncan at this point for sure. I don't think it's even – again, to argue for Wemby is arguing potential. Wemby's a great player right now, but he's not. You can see he's raw. He makes mistakes. He's immature in some of the things that he does. And it's fine to be physical, right? But he does some stupid stuff, lowering his head into guys, running through that. I think it was game 1, running through that charge. It might have been the time he put his head down. I think there was another time he did that as well. We saw the elbow. You got to be smart. You can be tough, but you got to be smart. And none of those things are smart, by the way. But, he's a kid too. He's 22 years old. He's going to get more physically imposing. He's going to put on weight and muscle probably as he gets older. And if he cleans up, some of the mistakes that he makes and maybe coaching, got to keep him under the basket. Defense. Or near the basket, I should say. Too many times he's floating outside. Carolina, yes, Danny. The Canadians did not win, which is not good for hockey. Again, I'm not saying, and again, it's not bad. But listen, who's going to get, I know we're all down in the NBA, but anybody want to wager me that the NBA finals, the viewership will outweigh the NHL finals by maybe 2-1? Maybe I shouldn't go that far, but it's going to outnumber it by a lot. And if one of the original 6 was in there, it'd be better for the NHL. That's all I'm saying. Again, I'm not a Canadian fan by any stretch. I'm a Ranger fan. Why would I like the Canadians? But I'm telling you, again, every sport's better when certain teams are there. And it's certainly good for viewership, and that's what networks want. They don't give a crap who wins. They want good matchups. They're happy the Knicks are in. Would they be happier if this was the Knicks against LA? Absolutely. They'd want a bigger market than San Antonio, but the Spurs have Wemby, so that helps offset that a little bit. I think the numbers for the NBA championship are going to be rock solid, by the way. I don't know about this Vegas, Carolina, because who's going to care? I know hardcore NHL, outside of hardcore NHL people, right? And Carolina and Vegas. I mean, and again, I'm sure they're not going to match up head to head with the NBA anymore now. There's enough off days that, in fact, they open Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, right? So while I'm not backing away from my statement still remains clear. The NHL's better when Montreal is good and a Canadian team is good. That's all I said, I think. But the original 6, I was really focusing on Montreal, Toronto. No, not Toronto. They're not an original 6 team, are they? Montreal, the Bruins, the Rangers, the Blackhawks, the Red Wings, and maybe it is Toronto. It is Toronto, right? Yes. So, I mean, my argument, I don't think you can dispute my argument that casual fans are more likely to tune in when, and again, this came up in our chat the other day about tradition, right? Tradition means something to casual fans. They tune in when the Yankees and the Dodgers are on and the Red Sox, right? When the World Series is Houston against the White Sox, I guarantee you those numbers were not as good as what they were when, the Dodgers were playing the Yankees. Guaranteed. We can look it up if we need to. And I guarantee you that the NHL will have drawn more viewers this coming couple of weeks if, I don't know, I don't even know who in the West is. I think all the original 6 teams are in the East, right? But let's just say for argument's sake that, Montreal could play the Blackhawks in the finals, which at one time was possible. I guarantee you viewership would be through the roof. Lee Mazzilli. Lee came over to the Toronto Blue Jays with Mookie Wilson in 1990. Did he? God bless him. What did he do in Toronto? I know. Listen. Oops, I lost my screen here. Where's Lee's stats here? I know Mookie played there. Oh, yeah, 1989. He played 1 year there, 1989. He only had 86 plate appearances, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, hit 227. You know, Mazzilli's a player, and I don't know why that he was on the Yankees for a bit, but I've been a Yankee fan my whole life, but when the Mets were terrible, we'd still see the Mets because we got them on not local TV, but cable, when we still didn't have a lot of cable stations. When he came up to the Mets, he really injected some life into that team in 70. When did he first come up? 77. He was a rookie. He had really good years in 78, 79. He was an all-star in 79. I think he had a home run in that all-star game, if I'm not mistaken. And he was a fine player for 3 or 4 years. He gets traded to Texas, and his career kind of, bottomed out a little bit. He did make his way back to New York and was part of that 86 championship team as a pinch hitter and played off the bench. Guy I always liked. Yankee coach for a long time. First base coach for Joe Torre. Liked him. Do I still have music playing? Shouldn't. Thought I heard music playing. Now I'm hearing things. Jesus. All right, where were we? Hurricanes. I'm going to vote. I'm going to root. I'm going to root, if you want to call it that, for Vegas and John Tortorella. I think John Tortorella is one of the coaches. He's the Billy Martin of hockey because he comes in, immediate results, and he gets fired. So I think it'd be the ultimate John Tortorella situation for him to come in with 8 games left in the regular season, have a great run through the playoffs, win the Stanley Cup, and then get fired in the offseason. I think that'd be awesome. The ultimate John Tortorella story, and maybe ending to his hockey coaching career. Go look for John Tortorella clips and press conferences. You'll be entertained for an hour, I promise you. But the Hurricanes are a better team. Once the Canadians, the momentum kind of wore off after game 1. Well, they were 1-1, and then things kind of fell apart. They lost game 2 in overtime, if I remember right, or maybe it was game 3 in overtime. Game 3, I think they lost in overtime. Correct me, Danny. I know you watched all these games. I watched but they're always on with an NBA game. But then the wheels kind of came off. Carolina took over, and I think the talent bore out here. It's possible, but the NFL, unless you're letting the air out of footballs, the NFL turns a blind eye to a lot of things. So, the NFL promotes gambling. And by the way, this guy wasn't just making nickel and dime bets. He bet almost $100,000 over a couple of years in college. And games involving his team when he was at Indiana. You would think they would stay away from this. I mean, we're a long ways removed from like Art Schlichter and what he did and went through. Went to prison because he got in trouble for gambling and started kiting checks and stealing from friends, all kinds of different fraud. And now we're in bed. We being the people that run the NFL, I'm not we, sorry. They are in bed with gambling sites, and I'm not a prude. I gamble myself. But players shouldn't be. Not on NFL games. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very telling, I think, Paul, to see if the NFL allows him in the supplemental draft. He can't just say I'm in. They have to say, okay. And then it's going to become, will anybody take him? I think he's too good. He's very good quarterback, by the way. And if he'd played at Texas Tech this year, he would have been one of the top couple of quarterbacks probably in the 27 draft. And the NFL might make him wait till 27, which means he will not be one of the top quarterbacks in that draft. So if he gets picked, if he is allowed in the supplemental draft, which is in July, he's got to apply by the 22nd of June. The NFL makes a decision on whether he can be in, and then we have a draft on whatever date it is in July. I think it's in July. And then it's a question whether somebody takes them and what pick they're willing to give up, because they have to give up a pick in the 27 draft. So you're not taking them first. You're not taking them second. To me, I don't know if you're taking them before the 6th round, because you get really decent players. You get players that are going to be, if you're picking well, you're going to get players that are contributing players in the 4th and the 5th round of this draft, even into the 6th round. I know one that's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure there's more. But he could also go undrafted as well, so we'll see. And Paul believes he may not play a game ever. It's possible. Rick has problems. I hope you're able to put your stuff in, Rick. If you can't put your stuff in, let me know. Again, I don't think you told me which page you're trying to do it from, my personal page or from the TGI Sports Talk page. And getting any technical help from Facebook is like impossible. Prop bet set to go through the roof with the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup final. And Knights have been to the final dance 3 times in 9 years now. They made it their very first year. Again, I look at John Tortorella, and I really see a parallel with Billy Martin in the way his career has gone. Right? Turns teams around quickly. He did win 1 championship. Billy won 1 championship. They both burn bright and burn out fast. You're going to change your handle to Boston Paul on YouTube. Attaboy. There's JB, big win for the O's last night. 5-run bomb in the 9th. Maybe that gets them rolling. They're getting more consistent because they've got great pitching lately. You're right. There's no secret sauce in baseball. Pitch, play good defense, and get timely hits. That's it. Not that hard. Don't reinvent the wheel. And it starts with the pitching. I agree 100%, JB. And I did pick your team to make the playoffs, so let's get it rolling here. You're being a smartass after. Oh, I see. With you and Jack, I got you. I thought maybe you just lost track of the days, which I do sometimes. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, do I have a show today? I woke up this morning thinking it's a Monday. I wake up a lot of days thinking it's Monday. I don't know why. Because it doesn't matter what day it is. Am I going to the golf course, or do I have a show, or both? Well, hi for Chris. I thought he was part of all 5 of those championships. I didn't say best player, by the way, to be clear, Paul. Fundamentally, Tim Duncan was better than Bird. Imagine if they played together, by the way. I guess there was no chance for that. But Duncan came along after. I had a little time warp issue there. Sorry. The history of the NBA, Paul, and college basketball as well, would have been totally rewritten if Boston had managed to secure, as they thought they were going to, Tim Duncan in the NBA draft. Rick Pitino probably would have stayed in Boston. Probably would have won championships, never goes to Louisville, never gets in trouble at Louisville. Who knows? Again, the butterfly effect here would be just unbelievable. See, we got a bunch of viewers out there. Guys, everybody, please do me a favor. Like the show. If you're on Facebook, put in a like or a heart, thumbs up. Laugh, I don't care. Put a thumbs down. Just give me some engagement. Always helps. And share it. Share the show. And send an invite to your friends. Go look at that one of those little 3-dot things on the TGI Sports Talk page. And then you scroll down, you'll see invite friends. And you can invite all your friends on Facebook to join and follow the show on Facebook. YouTube's a little harder. But we've doubled our subscribers since we started sharing clips and whatnot. So we've done well there. So in any event, thank you. I see a couple that go up there now. there's a couple more. Thank you. We got a bunch of viewers out there too this morning. So guys, feel free to contribute if you're watching. And if you're just watching and not commenting, I know some people don't want to get, immediately involved or directly involved. Just if you put a heart or a thumbs up or a laugh or a thumb down, I think is a thing now on Facebook. I'm not sure. But at least I know you're there and I can recognize you. For instance, I see Reggie out there. Reggie might have a comment coming up. If you're commenting, because I'm now obviously on a stream of consciousness, be patient because I'm going to get to your comment. Anybody here that I haven't acknowledged? Neil Bush, good morning. Neil might comment. Billy's here. Good morning. Thank you, guys. Anytime you pop in, do that because it really helps me out. Because we're making money hand over fist from Facebook now. Those generous guys. I mean, like $25 a month. Almost pays for my StreamYard. So, pays for a quarter of it. Don't tell the IRS because I haven't reported that money yet. Paul, it might have been at the grocery store. Paul has to go back and look at it. I believe Keith spoke and said the Canadians. What did I say? Did I say the Canadians? Did I say the Canadians in the NHL? I apologize. I was probably looking to say Canes. Believe me, if I bungled something, it's entirely possible. As I said, that dementia test that they give you with your Medicare wellness visit is not that intensive. So I drew the clock perfectly because I was practicing. I have to go back. Listen, anybody else heard the same thing? I think maybe Keith misspoke and said the Canadian. I might have. Again, it's what I do. Library talking to Paul's phone. Haven't had a good cocaine bust in baseball in a while. Well, cocaine's like passe, right? We're on to fentanyl and everything else. So I think the last was Scott Spezio in St. Louis going against the Cardinals away. It could be. I don't remember. In the 80s, it was prevalent, obviously. Somebody was going to rehab like every week. There was some new star player, for lack of a better term, going and leaving for a few days. Players that I'd be surprised at sometimes. But cocaine seems to be passe as far as, especially professional baseball. Now we just do fentanyl and whatever else. Painkillers. There's still guys with problems out there. But nothing was like the 80s for cocaine, right? I mean, I'm talking about cocaine enough. I'm probably going to get kicked off Facebook. But that, I just happened to think, I got to talk about Becky Hammon today, too. Remember Becky Hammon? She was a Spurs coach, assistant coach. And she made a comment 2 years ago that a small player couldn't lead. She said lead, but to me, there are several guys who were contributors, but a small guy under 6'2" or 6'2" and under could not lead a team to an NBA championship. And I thought she was speaking about Jalen Brunson. This was 2 years ago, and it got revisited this week. And I keep thinking, I'm looking at Avery Johnson right now, who is a key contributor, maybe not leading, obviously, that Spurs team that beat the Knicks in '99. But he's a guy that was a key contributor to a team that won an NBA championship. I would say Isaiah Thomas led his team at 6'1". I would say that Steph Curry at 6'2" led his team to several NBA championships. I would say that on her own team that she was an assistant on, I believe, Tony Parker was 6'2" or under. And was an integral. And again, Tim Duncan's on that team. He didn't lead that team. Manu Ginobili, a lot of great players on that team, but he was a leader on that team. So I don't buy this narrative that little guys can't win. And if you want to go back in time, Bob Cousy won a bunch. Yeah, I know that. You're good. You're good, Danny. Yeah, Valentine's year with the Sox really sucked, right? I do feel bad for you. Where am I time-wise? We're 20 minutes behind now, so stay on. I mean, don't disappear. You're going to get your comments up. Third of season in. Hello, Todd Slocum. How are you, buddy? Good to have you with us. My good friend Todd. Had a few beers with Todd last week. Third of the season in, reevaluate the Mets Rangers Brandon Nemo trade. I would listen. I didn't like you. You're still good with it. Nemo's played a lot better than Marcus Semien. I mean, I know you traded years on the contract as well, and the Mets are concerned that Nemo's not going to age well. But I don't know. Am I not better? You still, I mean, Nemo's right now one of the better defensive players. Again, we end up getting some metrics that I'm not terribly convinced about, right? But again, by the numbers that people are in love with, and I'm not necessarily, but they do say that he's one of the top defensive right fielders in the American League at this point in time. I think he's showing a little more pop, is he not, Todd? I mean, Marcus Semien's a total waste. Defensively, he's not the same player that he was. I just read an article yesterday, interesting enough, that McNeil is outperforming him. Jeff McNeil, who they traded away, is outperforming him defensively and offensively. And he's not having a great year for the A's. Come. What's going on? There he is. Brandon Nemo. He said he got 7 homers, 261. I don't know. At a wash at the worst. I mean, again, the Mets did trade years on a contract, which you have to take into consideration today as well. So, but it's good to have you here with us, Todd. I think your Mets, by the way, just to comment on them, won 3 in a row. Haven't played, I think they're 4-6 in their last 10, but 14.5 now behind the Braves, who are just rolling. The Braves are not doing this with smoke and mirrors, by the way. This isn't the Rays. This team leads in like almost every important statistical category. The ones that we have historically said are important, and some that we haven't. But I like what the Mets have done by starting to infuse some of the youth, right? I like that they gave Benj a start in right field, and he started to play better. A.J. Ewing gave them a quick burst of energy when he came up. And they just brought somebody up last week, and the name's escaping me. Todd, you can probably tell me. That's still debatable, I think. I think it's back on the table. It's funny. It was on the table, and then it was off the table. And now, and Todd's a Giant fan. He might have a comment on this as well. But the Post reported yesterday that it could be back on the table. It's not a done deal and a sure thing by any means. I think there's a lot of – they've had some injuries and they're concerned about depth at wide receiver, but I think John Harbaugh is seriously weighing the cons of bringing him in as well as the pros. So, Bobby Val. So, Todd, I see you commenting. Good. If I haven't responded in a while, don't, because I get on these rolls, right? This is like, that's why it's a stream of consciousness. Valentine, and what occupation that have you ever maintained did you go to fake mustache in a drawer? There's days I wanted to when I was going into a meeting and knew I was going to be on the hook for something. Listen, I think it's a classic Bobby Valentine move. Look, he wasn't a horrible, except in Boston, I guess. He was horrible. But I don't know. Todd's here. Met or other Met fans. Overall, are you happy with the job Bobby Valentine did for your team? He got you to a World Series. He's the only manager in your history to get you to the postseason back-to-back seasons. I mean, not the worst manager in the history of baseball. If Wemby was on those teams with Pop, if he was on those teams, they'd never lost. Pop's a great coach. And I think it's interesting that, and Jack poo-pooed this the day after it happened. I think Popovich went in, I think it was after game 2. Maybe it was game 3. Maybe it's game 3. I don't remember. But after one of the games that they lost and didn't play well, I think it was game 2. He went in the locker room and read them the riot act. He's still part of the organization. And that team won the next night. And they ultimately won the series. I'm not willing to dismiss the fact that Popovich had something to do with that. And I think Johnson's going to be a good coach. I really do. I think he's probably a good coach now. I think he's still learning on the job, especially at this point of the season. Young guy. We talk a lot about how young the Spurs are as a team, but Johnson is young as a coach and still learning. And this, I can't take anything away from him. He made some mistakes in this series, I thought, but he made some tactical decisions, I think, that were very effective later in this series. And he took a team that we really thought was a year away, at least a year away. I don't remember anybody saying, watch for the Spurs in the conference finals or the league finals. Most prognosticators that I saw had them, a couple games over 500 in the playoffs. Not this. Knicks are going to have their hands full, but I like the Knicks in 7. Probably a hard-fought series. I don't know, like Jack, I guess 7-game series means hard-fought, and I don't need to add hard-fought 7-game series. Listen, I got a Perth education. Jack's got, was a teacher, so I guess I should defer to him sometimes, but it's just hard. The viewership of the NBA, the hockey, but I'm not saying hockey's no good. I'm just saying people aren't going to watch. They have a hard time attracting casual fans. The NHL. The NBA does too. I mean, listen, nobody's viewership is what it was, right? Baseball, I guess the NFL is obviously it's still the strongest, but I don't think it's what it was. I mean, people have a lot of options today. And I think casual fans don't come along except for the Super Bowl. But nobody's going to convince me that more people wouldn't watch if one of the original 6 was involved. Or a player. Again, is there a player on these teams that really grabs your attention, say I must watch, like Wemby? I mean, normally I would think San Antonio's not a great draw, but with Wemby, I think casual fans will come in to see this freak. So I mean that in the best way possible, by the way. Human cheat code is the best way I've heard to describe him. And he's still learning. I mean, Jack's getting on him for not repeating a tremendous, almost historic performance in game 1. How do you expect that to get repeated? He was very good for the most part in those 7 games. And obviously the MVP of that series because they don't win without him. Rangers in Toronto. Houston versus the White Sox would be highly watched. Oh, I'm talking about one that was played, and it was not highly watched. What we watched during the what? I'm not sure what we're talking about. It would be a different type of World Series. No, we already have history. They played, I don't know, what was it? Phil Garner was a manager of Houston, and Ozzie Guillen managed the White Sox. The White Sox won, and it was one of the worst viewed World Series that we've had. I know it was a while ago. First of all, these teams aren't playing in a World Series for a long time. Neither one of these teams. But we already have the evidence. When they played, it was more than 10 years ago. Probably it was more like 15. White Sox won. No star power in the NHL Finals. Thank you, Todd. Now, I could argue that the biggest star in this finals is John Tortorella. And I'm going to repeat this for you, Todd, because I know you're a big NHL fan. I said it would be the ultimate John Tortorella ending for him to come in with 8 games left in the regular season, take the Golden Knights on this great run through the playoffs, win the Stanley Cup, and then get fired in the offseason. And then ride off into the sunset. Maybe that's where I'm hearing the music is on my phone. I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I don't know why that's funny, but word association. Lee Mazzilli, basket catch. Cool. Might be the last guy. I think we would bash guys. I would probably bash guys that do it today. I mean, Willie Mays did it like almost 3/4 of the time. Mazzilli did it quite a bit. Not much of an arm. He was a decent defensive outfielder. I mean, look, he was a star that met those Mets teams that were just bad. They played him in center field. His arm was lacking. He ended up playing first base later in his career a lot too. With I think with the Mets and with the Pirates. I always had an affinity for Lee Mazzilli. When I was doing interviews, Rick, Lee Mazzilli is one of the guys who was going to come on and kind of went dark on me a little bit. So we're going to try to get dark. We're going to try to get Lee on. Well, maybe we'll try to get Lee on. Again, I don't want to get Rick's hopes up. And Rick, I really appreciate the fact, I'm not dismissing the fact that you really enjoy the interviews, and I've always appreciated the kudos you've given me personally. It's just something I haven't been able to get my head around. I thought when I retired, I would just easily fall into it, but I haven't. I haven't been able to get my energy level to where I want to chase these guys around. I got too many other things I want to do, like play golf. Todd, by the way, you want to come down someday? Eagle Crest is in such great condition, man. Firm, though. Had a lot of fun there. But if you want to come down and play one day during the week, I have my membership. I have the weekday membership. I can play anytime during the week. I know you work and stuff, so you can't really just, I have the Hurricane walking stick. Hurricane. Oh yeah, the Hurricane. It is a real thing, right? There's Neil Bush. How are you, Neil? Looking forward to coming down your way to play some golf, potentially on the 19th, as you mentioned. I didn't know. I can't remember now the course you sent me. Is that the one you're still considering, by the way? Anyway, whatever Neil says, whoever's Brendan Sorsby's pick for the Stanley Cup is, bet the opposite. He had the misfortune of being in Indiana before Kurt Signetti got there. King Signetti got there. He should have waited a year and started betting Indiana. He might have won some money. Again, in the beginning, some of the information that we had was that he was making, $30 bets. He bet nearly $100,000 in a couple of years. That's not a little bit. Speaking of the Big Ten, by the way, let me go back here a second. Speaking of the Big Ten, I'm 22 minutes behind. Speaking of the Big Ten, and I talked about this on the College Sports Huddle the other night. We'll talk more about it as the summer goes on. We got a big backyard brawl right now between the two big dogs in NCAA football. We know that the SEC and the Big Ten run everything. Well, actually, I should amend that, as I said before. It's really ESPN and Fox. ESPN doesn't want its present contract to include a 2014 playoff. So we're going to have to wait for TV contracts to expire. But the Big Ten and Fox are dead set on having 24 teams. Every program is on board. The SEC, not so much. They want to go to 16, and the Big Ten says, no, we'll stay at 12. We're going to do 24-12. And without them saying, okay, there's no deal. I'm not saying we should go to 24, by the way. But it's funny that these two are loggerhead at loggerheads now. And I know we keep saying, and I keep saying it's the Big Ten versus the SEC, but I think it's really Fox versus ESPN. Good, Matt. My good friend Matt from Orange County, California. I didn't say thank you, Matt. I'm going to do it right here on the air. Matt sent me another batch of cards. We got a Roy White, a Jake Gibbs, a Jerry Kenny, a Guidry, my boy, Steve Nelson from the Patriots, Tom Tresh, Dave Winfield, Bobby Richardson. We got a place in history with the Babe, and a Mattingly card. Matt, you're the best, man. Thank you so much. Good man, Matt. And a Yankee fan out in California. How about that? Well, we can agree to disagree. Bird was great. I'm not even telling you that Duncan was a better player than Bird. I'm telling you, you know what? Duncan won more championships than Bird, I'm going to say. Is that comment correct? I think I'm correct. Bird versus Duncan. It's always exciting to see me type, isn't it? Duncan's got 5, as we said already. Bird had 3. You know, so even if I'm going by some, again, we measure players by championships a lot. I'm just saying. I mean, no, we didn't have a Laker team to go against and keep them back. But listen, I'm not taking. I think, and again, this becomes a regional preference, right? We all want to say our players are the best, and I get it, Paul. He was a great player, one of the best. And just so you know, I don't have a huge Boston bias. Well, I do have a bias against the Celtics in general, but I give respect to players that deserve it. Larry Bird deserves it. You've got John Havlicek there, who probably is one of the more underrated players in the history of basketball. I mean, I can show you numbers that would say that John Havlicek is a better player than Michael Jordan. That's why you can't just go by numbers. I think it's a personal preference thing. I think if he'd played in Boston, you'd be saying Duncan was the best. JB, thought, make betting make thought. Oh, this is a thought. See, your thought is make betting legal for players. Make a system where they can only bet on themselves or a team to win. 2-hour limit before the game to make a bet, disclose to the public. Talk about Wild West. I don't think I can get behind that. They can only bet on themselves or the team to win. But here's the problem. I get it. So you're trying to eliminate, right? By opening things up. You got a total transparency if somebody is doing this. Problem is, and this is what Pete Rose never got, in my mind. Pete Rose never got the fact. He says, I never bet against my team. But the argument to that is, you were betting on your team every time you thought they could win. So whenever you didn't bet on your team, that was a signal to other people that you thought they were going to lose. So you kind of were betting against them the times you didn't bet. because you're sending signals to and you would send signals to other bettors here that the players on their own team don't think they can win tonight. So I get it. The original thought, JB, I just don't think it's practical, because I think, again, the unintended consequence is when you don't bet on your team to win, the message would be, and again, I would know 2 hours before, that the Yankee players, for instance, didn't think they could win tonight. Yeah, I don't like it. I get what you're trying to do. Been lots of 6 foot unders that have been great players. Well, we're talking about championship players. Becky Hammond's comments were about, first of all, to be fair to her, she did say lead a team to a championship, and she was talking specifically about Jalen Brunson. But again, first guy I thought of was Isaiah, and then I looked up the heights of Curry and Parker. They led their teams to championships. There's been lots of great 6 foot players. Allen Iverson didn't win a championship, but he's a great player and led his team to the final. Tiny Archibald. Hey, Tiny won championships. Now I'm thinking about it. Not leading them, but he was one of the leaders on that team. I forgot about Archibald the other day when Jack and I were debating this. And again, Becky Hammond watched Tony Parker. Pretty sure she was on the staff at least near the end of that run. I could be wrong with the timing. If I am, I apologize. But yeah, there have been lots of great 6 foot under players. Hello, Neil again. Braves seem to be getting great pitch game every night. Defense is again, JB said it earlier, right? When the Orioles have played well, better recently. Pitching, defense, timely hitting. Fundamentally sound baseball. The recipe here isn't rocket science. You don't need to reinvent the game. Pitch well, field well, get hits with men on base. Hits, not home runs, hits. Braves are the best team in baseball. Right now. By the end of the season, maybe that's not true. I don't know. Dodgers are playing well. Dodgers are playing very well. And I think the Dodgers did a great job early in the season through injuries to Mookie Betts, through Kyle Tucker trying to get his legs under him here in a new city. Pitching staff hurt. Snell hurt. Bullpen, Diaz imploding. I think they did a great job playing as well as they have early in the season. Dave Roberts, again, because he's got the second highest payroll in baseball, and I guess the highest if you consider future payments. Oh, by the way, I'll talk about this in a second. Sorry, the stream of conscience just kicked in. Big story I didn't even bring up earlier. So anyway, Dave Roberts doesn't get I don't think gets the credit he deserves. He has managed this team to 100 victory seasons and world championships in years that he's had to use, 15 starting pitchers. And keeping this team playing well early in the year with the injuries they've had, and, Freddie Freeman not quite being a player he was. I think he's done a great job. Great job. And by the way, I neglected to bring this up at the beginning, but you could bet we're heading towards a work stoppage. And I hope to God that between December, when the lockout is sure to happen, and March, they can figure this out, because if we lose games because of this billionaire versus millionaire fight that we're about to have, I'm going to be furious. And by the way, did I write it down here? Yeah. So the cap. So the MLB threw out their first salvo at the cap, and thank God there's a floor. I'm surprised that the owners went along with this because the floor is $171 million, by the way. There's like 15 teams that are under that cap. And some of them way under it, including the Indians who are leading the Central in the AL. But the cap is $234 million or $244 million. Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, and Toronto are all over that. Red Sox are close. This is the first time in a long time that they've proposed this. And as you know, their agreement with the Players Association ends this year. They're nowhere as close. There's a chasm the size of the moon between the players and the owners on this. And I really don't want to be the voice of doom, but we're not going to see baseball next year, possibly for a while. I think you could bet right now that there'll be a lockout in December for sure. Simeon fooled. I thought he might have something left too, and I thought a change of scenery might, energize him. But he's been terrible. He's been terrible defensively, which that was the main reason the Mets got him. Two main reasons the Mets got him. They were able to save years, I think 3 years, 2 or 3 years on the contract between Nemo's contract and Simeon's, and they don't think Nemo's going to age well. And the defense. They thought they were really improving their defense up the middle, and he's been horrendous. That whole team's been horrendous, so. Hello, Carlos. You should be excited about Benjamin Ewing. And listen, Nolan McLean is going to be a great pitcher. He's going through a little bit of a rough spot right now, but he's going to be a great pitcher. And they brought up another kid recently. Who was it? Let me see if I can find the Mets quick. Who did they bring up recently? Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe the kid's not doing anything. I don't know. Can I trust ESPN to give me right information as far as a depth chart here? Looking, I thought there was another guy they brought up. Wasn't that guy? Brett Baty started to play better, too, for the Mets. Nothing's really ringing a bell. Was it a pitcher? No. I guess I don't know. I thought there was another young guy they brought up that was going to play a little bit of a factor with the Mets. Pinnell called Valentine a punk when he managed the Rangers. Always felt he was right. Yeah, well, he certainly gave up a punkish attitude at times, and kind of I guess in my mind, Neil, I guess what it felt like was he knew something that nobody else knew, right? That kind of smart ass attitude, which again, I think some people would probably call that a punk too. But he had some success managing. Again, if you're a Met fan, you've only had one manager in your whole history that led you to 2 consecutive postseasons and also to a World Series. So he had some success. We don't have to like people. I mean, Billy Martin was a jerk. Great manager. Got to separate the two. The people. Bill Parcells is the perfect example. One of the best coaches in the history of NFL, in my mind. Coached my team. Made them much better. Till he didn't want to be there anymore and made it all about him. Ruined an entire Super Bowl week. He's a horrible, horrible freaking human being. Horrible. Look at the disarray he left teams in when he left. Look what he did to the Giants when he decided to retire so late that Belichick had already gone to Cleveland, Coughlin gone somewhere else, whatever. There was no coaches to hire, and they had to hire what I'm talking about. I just had his name. He just passed away. God, names are right on top of my tip of my tongue. Just Ray Hanley. Yeah. So great move, Bill. Wait till May to retire or whatever the hell he did. Probably wasn't that late, but he left the Giants in disarray, left the Patriots in disarray, left the Jets in disarray. Great coach while he's there. 100% a great coach, but a horrible human being. Bobby V didn't hit, and the hitting is still the issue. No, Bobby never hit. Listen, people forget, too. Bobby Valentine with the Dodgers, right? Danny, if I'm not mistaken, Bobby Valentine came up in the Dodger organization when they had all these great players, right? They had Buckner, they had Say, they had Lopes, they had Garvey, they had Bill Russell, they had a bunch of outfielders. They turned in infielders. And Bobby was an outfielder, an infielder sometimes, was a great prospect. And he got traded to the Angels. I can't remember for who. Might have been the Andy Messersmith trade. But then he had a freak accident, a freak injury during a game, and his career was just derailed. He played with the Mets, played with a bunch of teams, but his career, he was gonna, again, prospect. We don't know what he would have been, but he was he was at the top of that prospect list, if I'm remembering correctly, of all those guys that we're talking about, near the top. Spurs organization has done a ton, has a ton support for coach compared to other teams. Has a ton. So they support the coach. Is that what you're saying? I agree. And they've also got Coach Popovich there to kind of, again, he jumped in when he needed to jump in. There wasn't any big deal made about the fact that he might have overstepped and, stepped over Mitch Johnson when he came in and gave his little locker room tirade. But they stood behind Pop during good and bad times as well. So I agree with the organization. If you're talking about their stability with coaches, for the most part, at least recent history, we can go back a ways. It's not quite as stable as you might think. They went through a lot of coaches like in the 80s. Before Pop got there, they went through a lot of coaches. Brown, Hill, Jerry Tarkanian, John Lucas. I mean, they had a lot of coaches. Good morning, John Gonzalez from the previously mentioned Sports Authorities. Guys, if you're not part of the Sports Authorities, you're missing out. John is the best admin out there and does some great stuff, does a great job of driving new people in, as does his team of moderators. So great job, John, and always welcome John to the show. And the best dressed guy here when Robert isn't around. Knicks and 4, John. I'm not going to go that far. You know me. I love the Knicks. This is a 7-game series, I think. If the Knicks play anywhere near what they played the last 10 or 11 games, I mean, I guess it's possible they could sweep, but I want to believe that's the real Knick team, and they're not going to nick this up. We saw them hit another level, another gear. I know they weren't playing anybody on the level of the Spurs or the Thunder. But it's entirely possible the Knicks have finally found that next gear. And by the way, Jalen Brunson, great player. I think the key to winning the series is OG. OG, I think you're going to see defend Wemby a little bit, or a lot, maybe. But I think his offense is key as well. OG is I think, the best player in the league that nobody ever talks about. Because he's kind of the third wheel on the Knicks. He'd be a number one anywhere else. Well, almost anywhere else. And I said this morning on the Roundtable show that, other than Wemby, I think the Knicks are better everywhere else on the floor among the starters. I might like the Spurs bench better, but I think among the starters, the other 4 starters, I think I give the edge to the Knicks everywhere. And a lot of versatility there, too. I mean, you can put OG. Well, first of all, are you going to be able to play Mitch Robinson enough to let him be for him to be a force in defending Wemby? And I don't know that that's the best way to go. Yeah, it might be OG and Bridges that spend a lot of time with him. Vegas and 5. I'll take that. I like that. And John Tortorella gets fired in the offseason. Perfect for him. Come in with 8 games left, win a cup, get fired. Danny's going to go out on a limb and say that the NHL rivals the NBA. I'm going to say that's not even close. You're saying going forward. I was just going to look something up as far as viewership. No, it's true. They will not be playing the same nights, which helps the NHL a lot. But I just don't think, and it won't be 2-1. I'm probably exaggerating there. Let's just see what it's been. Let me try something. NHL versus NBA playoff viewership. See what we get. Not far off. So far, so this is kind of rough, but so far the NBA playoffs have averaged 3.9 million viewers per game. And the NHL playoffs have averaged 1.2 to 2.2. So almost 2-1 so far. Now, you're right, Danny. Those numbers might be deflated because most nights the NHL was matching up against the NHL. And I would have thought, like on the weekends, they might have been better off playing an afternoon game or early evening game rather than go head to head. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Actually, it says head-to-head comparisons during the opening weekends of the postseason, which, again, viewership picks up as we go on, right? The NBA held a roughly 3-1 advantage over the NHL in total audience size. Now, again, they were going head-to-head most nights. So Danny's correct. I would expect a bump for the NHL, but I don't think they're going to get close to the NBA. Let's keep an eye on this, Danny. Danny was a huge California Golden Seals fan. Boy, who'd they become? Did they fold or go somewhere else? I want to say they went somewhere else. I remember the Golden Seals. I want to say they went somewhere else, though. How far behind am I now? By falling further behind? Got to pick this up a little bit. June 1st, the Angels have a promotion night. Free Angels drink cooler for the first 25,000 fans. You know what it is, Chris? Yeah. How about you know what? God, don't get me going on frickin' Artie Moreno. Keep giving away stuff and bringing people in because people don't care about winning, according to Artie Moreno. They just care about free stuff, entertainment, safety. I get it. I do understand that. Winning isn't even in the top 5. So apparently, I'm guessing free drink coolers are probably a priority for Angel fans more than winning as well. And those remarks are geared for Artie Moreno, Chris, not you. The Angels will never win as long as Artie Moreno owns that team. John Gonzalez, he was average, maybe below average. Other than those 3 years I mentioned, 3-ish years, whatever, he was probably below average. But the Mets were horrible in those days. And I think Mazzilli actually moved to left field when Mookie came up before he was traded away to the Rangers. But still, he was a decent player. Later in his career, he was a good bench player. Was part of that 86 championship team. I think he came over from the Pirates midseason, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm certainly. You know what though? He belongs in the Mets Hall of Fame because again, for the time he was there, he was the team, and he was an attraction. Played an All-Star game, had a home run in the All-Star game. You know, bad teams need something to hold on to, and Lee Mazzilli was something to hold on to. Well, for never mind. Yeah, definitely not good. And you really do have to chase them. I know from other podcasts that these guys really chase these guys and they can cancel. They do. It really gets frustrating, Paul. And again, you know, the wins would really they'd be highs and would kind of overcome some of that. But, you know, when I started doing it again, then stopped, it was getting so hard and so many no's. And it wasn't even the no's. I don't care. Tell me no, I'm fine. No, I don't want to do that. Jerry Rice. No, I don't want to do that. I've been doing too many, you know, but the guys who would say yes and never show up, I've got a folder. I found the other day. I've got a folder with about 15 interviews I prepped for that guys never showed up for or canceled. I mean, it's like canceled. And then they go dark. Don't say yes. Just tell me no. I got no time for a loser like you. Meaning me. I respect that more than just tell me yes and then stringing me along. It's just hard. Part of me wants to do it. Quite frankly, it really does. But I don't know. We'll see. And if I do it, they're not going to be live. They're going to be recorded and we'll, you know, share them at a specified time because really the only way for me to keep them in an hour format is to do it without, I apologize, guys, but without really diving into comments. I don't know. Maybe I won't. I like the comments, but the interviews would end up being an hour and a half and 2 hours, and I don't have a slot for that. I don't know. I kick it around. There's days I'm thinking I want to do it, and there's other days I won't. There you go, Matt. Danny's wondering where you are, so let him know. Who made it out where? I'm lost you there. Who that is? Larry only won 3. Yep. 5 for Duncan, 3 for Larry. So if that's your measurement, then Duncan's better. Not just that, though. A lot of great players didn't win at all. It doesn't mean they weren't great. But again, winning it all to me is still a measurement. When you need tiebreakers and such, they're both great players, Duncan and Bird. Oh, they got there, the cards. That's what. All right. You did put Jerry Kenny in here. Jake Gibbs. You know, Jake Gibbs. There's Jake Gibbs. People don't remember Jake Gibbs was a great high school quarterback at Ole Miss. There's Jerry Kenny. Jerry Kenny had some promise. Ended up hitting about 220 for his career. Could play a lot of positions. He's quick. Duncan won more championships. He did not have to go. I agreed. I did say that when I mentioned the championships, Neil, that agreed he didn't have to play the Lakers. You still got to play whoever's there, though. They're both great players. So, you know, to me, it's very, you know, it's nitpicking for me to say, you know, Duncan won more championships. But to me, the difference between the two is negligible. And I don't want to take anything away from Bird. And again, everybody has their own opinions. And again, I don't have a monopoly on being right. I talk like I do, but I don't. I'm well aware of the fact that I'm wrong a lot. My wife gets mad because we talk politics or whatever, and my tone suggests that I think I'm always right. I respect other people's opinions, and they're right to be wrong. But they're great players. I would say that era Bird played in was a really good era in basketball as far as competition, because you had the Celtics, you had the Lakers, you had Philadelphia too, don't forget, in the mix there. And there were other good teams. Milwaukee had a good team, never made it to a championship. They had a great team. Couldn't get past Philadelphia or to Boston in the East. Right? There were some good teams out West. Lakers pretty much dominated, though. All in all, I would say the game was better then. Oh, come on, Anthony. Good to have you with us, buddy. You got to be a Celtic fan. You're going to tell me Bird didn't have great players around him? Yeah, Tony Parker and Ginobili. I say his name right? Now I can't say his name. You know who I mean. They're great players, but I mean, McHale's in the Hall of Fame. Parrish might be in the Hall of Fame. Dennis Johnson. That team had Bill Walton for 2 years coming off the bench. Please, I mean, don't tell me that. We can make any argument you want, Anthony. And again, I'm glad you commented because we're happy to have you here. I'm guessing, Anthony, you're a Celtic fan with this comment, but maybe not. I'm not going to say that Duncan had better players around him than Bird. I will agree with the argument that the competition might have been stiffer for the Celtics and Bird than it was for Duncan and the Spurs overall. You know, through those years they won championships. I think the Spurs won 5 in 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that number, but we'll throw that out there anyway. But again, please, Anthony, do me a favor. If you really believe that, and you wrote it, so I'm going to guess you do, elaborate a little bit and tell me who was better. And again, I can't picture those supporting cast. Well, he had good players around him. I mean, Bird consistently. I mean, I think his first year, maybe not. Cedric Maxwell, another great player. Fine player, not great player. Very good player. Boy, I mean, gosh, I just can't. I don't think I can buy that one, Anthony. But please, feel free to elaborate. One player of a team of 15 doesn't mean he's better, because I didn't say it did. I mean, again, I'm just pointing out one differential. That's all. Again, you got to use something. I said it was nitpicking. Right? But I can't go by the fact that the Celtics had worse supporting cast. And again, I did not say, by the way, that Duncan was a better player than Bird. I said he was the most fundamentally sound player I ever saw. It doesn't mean he was the best. Because I'm not hearing, him compared to Jordan and Bird. I'm sorry, Jordan and LeBron. I can tell you that if I was starting a team today, Tim Duncan might be my first pick. Just saying. Nah, I disagree. We can disagree. And again, I didn't say he was better. You guys are really missing a point here. And first of all, he does belong in the same conversation. I said he's more fundamentally sound than Bird and everybody else. I'll stand by that. But again, I don't have a monopoly on right. Let me calm John down here. All right, John. See? My boy's still here. Oh, gosh. Hang on one second. I got to see if I got left any messages here. I got a feeling I got left alone here. Oh, jeez. I knew it. My wife had to run back. Somehow we messed up my mother-in-law's. I didn't. Her remote on her TV got messed up, and she doesn't know how to work it anymore. Anyway, Bird was way better than. Look at it. It does belong in a conversation. I cannot. You can make it. We can certainly say that Bird was better. I don't think we can say he doesn't belong in a conversation, because I can make an argument that he's better than a lot of guys that other people would say are better. Oh, good morning, Anthony. It's all good. It's all good. Believe me, listen, if I was going to agree with you guys, this would be a boring show, wouldn't it? What was I going to say? Again, I could sit here and go look at some numbers, and having watched the guy play, I can make an argument that John Havlicek is one of the most underrated players, and he should be in the top 5. But again, you can't just use numbers. Yeah, Danny and I are on the same page here. I agree with Walton too, by the way. I agree. Again, none of that means that Bird was a worse player than Duncan. I mean, I think I can say that both these guys, Duncan and Walton, were the most fundamentally sound players in NBA history, and there could be a bunch of players better than them. I mean, do we think Jordan was fundamentally sound necessarily as these guys? He was a great player, maybe the best player ever, arguably. And it's funny because when I get into these debates, it sounds like I'm knocking Larry Bird. I'm really not. He's a great player. Because if I couldn't have Duncan, I'd probably take Bird next, not Jordan. Bird. Good morning, Bill. What are they? Well, I can't even imagine. See, I wouldn't look to even go to a game just because I know it's going to be like off the wall. Nick. I could just wait for you, Billy, I suppose. Ship. Ticket. How about ticket prices? Cheapest seats. Cheapest seats at Madison Square Garden are ranging from $32,000 to $4,000 for games 3 and 4. For the potential game 6, the cheapest seats start at $4,600 to $5,000. Lower level seats that typically range $5,400 to $7,800. And if you want courtside and sit with Ben Affleck, I'm sorry, not Ben Affleck. That'd be funny. Sorry, Ben Stiller. Spike Lee and the likes. You could pay up to $265,000. That's a ticket you probably want, Bill. You probably want to sit right next to Spike Lee. Send your letters this time to John Gonzalez, not to me. Who on earth cares what Becky Hammond has to say? Let her go bake brownies. I hope we get a clip out of this one, John, because I'm usually the one getting letters about being a woman hater. And I don't love women. I don't care what she has to say. But it's newsworthy. Matt says Greg Biffle's ex is suing a pilot and Biffle in the debt. Wait a minute. Greg Biffle's ex? So she's suing a dead guy? 2 dead guys. The pilot's dead, right? So she got to sue their estate. So she's suing the Biffle estate? What? I don't get it. His ex-wife. So the whole family was killed in that plane crash, right? And the pilot. So who are they suing? And unless I'm misreading what you wrote here, Matt, I get suing the pilot for pilot error, whatever. Negligence. But he's not alive. You can sue his estate, I suppose. But how do you sue Biffle? Because he chose the pilot? It must be she had maintenance coming from him for the rest of her life or something. Matt says, I used to go to Fontana Track about 10 years ago. First race ever, became a Mark Martin fan. I remember Mark Martin. Racing's had a tough go of it. How much time we got left here? Half hour. Racing's had a tough go of it recently. I mean, attendance and viewership has been dropping a lot for NASCAR. And I think IndyCar racing has picked up, actually. But then you have the deaths of first Biffle, who was, obviously a very well-known and respected driver. And then Kyle Busch a week or so ago, his tragic death, which was avoidable, by the way. That's very sad. I mean, a plane crash. But I really feel bad for for Kyle Busch and his family, especially because, I mean, I think if Kyle, and again, I remember when I was 35 and 40 years old, you still think you're indestructible and you got to, I got a chest cold. I got a sinus thing. I got, what he thought he had. And you just think I'll battle through it. I'll keep racing. He was in a simulator when he became unresponsive. So he's still working. Power through it. If he'd gone to a doctor a week sooner or 2 weeks sooner, he might have actually. And if he did, you'll probably see lawsuits there, because maybe if he did go to a doctor said, you'll be fine. Let me give you this, B12 shot or whatever. I mean, he had severe pneumonia and sepsis. And if he hadn't ignored it, maybe he didn't, the way I understand it so far. And I hope it's a cautionary tale to younger people, man. Don't take your health for granted. Use that as a cautionary tale. An old dog learning a new trick. Ozzie Canseco got his real estate license out in Hollywood. Oh, man. Would you buy a used house from this guy? So, seriously, would you buy a used house from a Canseco? Probably more likely this than his brother, right? Anyway, good luck, Ozzie. Yes. I have my notes today, which, again, when you guys get commenting, I very rarely even refer to them. So I appreciate that so much. But the other night, I went live on the Sunday or the college sports huddle the other night, and I realized my granddaughter had been down here with me, and she walked away with my notepad. We did all right. I think I hit everything I wanted to hit that night, but it's probably the one organization he didn't leave in disarray, though, Neil. I'll give him credit for that. I mean, his departure from Dallas didn't rival the Giants or the Patriots or the Jets and the chaos he left behind in all three places. And again, he got that team into the playoffs, right? Where they hadn't been in the playoffs in quite some time. Didn't win, if I remember, the one playoff, if I'm not mistaken, a one playoff game that Parcells had in Dallas. Romo, who was a backup quarterback, fumbled the snap on a field goal attempt that would have won the game. Let me know if I'm right. Right? Show, but I have to take off. See you later, Paul. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm trying to. Blessed Sunday. Hello, CA. Good to have you with us. I haven't gotten any baseball yet. You guys' comments have been great. Back when the commercials were commercial, Bob Uecker. I love these commercials. I mean, on YouTube you can find them. You go to YouTube and put in Miller Lite commercials. You'll get them all. Some of these were hilarious. Rodney, Uecker, Billy and George, all these old time football players. It was great. That was one of the best commercial campaigns ever done anywhere. I'm rewatching Mad Men, so I'm kind of into that world right now. Danny says, yep, Bobby Valentine, Dodge organization in 1969, I believe, 71, 72, he was with Spokane Indians organization. In 70, that I do know. Yeah, he got traded to the Angels. That's where he got injured. I believe it was with the Angels. I almost feel like he was in the Andy Messersmith trade. I wonder if I can find out. I bet you, because I got his baseball reference page up here when I was looking at a few things, getting ready for today's show. Oh, that's his managerial stats. How do I get to his baseball stats? Can I go there? View player bio. This should tell me. See when he got hurt. He didn't get called up in 70. He was in Spokane in 1970. He was brought up to the Dodgers shortly when the season after the season began, 1971. He's used a utility player. Dodgers played him at shortstop, third base, second base, as well as the outfield. He improved offensively in 1972 when he hit 274 and 391 at bats. Dodgers continued to use him at multiple positions. In 1972, the 28th, he went to the Angels along with Billy Gabarkowitz, another great prospect. Frank Robinson, Bill Singer had some really good years with the Dodgers and then later with the Angels. And Mike Strehler for Ken McMullen and Andy Messersmith. Look at me go. Little Lock, Coastal Carolina versus FSU in suspended elimination game. Sunday schedule. What do we got going on here? Do I have time to jump into this? I know we got a lot of comments here I'm going to fall behind on if I do this, but let's... Can't find my... So today's games, let's just do it this way. College baseball. What games we got today? You got elimination game between Wake Forest and West Virginia. You got an elimination game with UCLA and St. Mary's. Surprising loss for UCLA in their opening game. North Carolina is probably that FSU game, right? They got a to be determined. You got several to be determineds here. Oh, here we go. So Coastal Carolina suspended 2-1. That's an elimination game. So the winner's moving on, I think, to play Carolina, I'm going to say. And Ole Miss, Nebraska at 6-3 Ole Miss. Games resuming to, boy, not till tomorrow. Oh, today, 31st, right. So we don't have anybody playing some of these games here. So a lot of to be determined in some of these other games. Carolina will play a team to be determined. Georgia plays a team to be determined. Florida to be determined. Georgia Tech, Texas, got a lot of elimination baseball coming up here the next couple of days. And in college softball, who we got today? We got Nebraska and Texas today in an elimination game, and UCLA and Texas Tech in an elimination game. So they're almost done here in the women's side, if I'm not mistaken. See if I got this bracket. Just the women. I think that's the men. So, yeah, so Mississippi State. I guess I just haven't moved them over. Oh, I see. That's got to be the women. That's a College World Series. Okay. So anyway, you got your games today. CA can catch us up. Today I'm going to get into some college baseball because there's not a whole lot going on here during the day. And if we're going to get some rain, it's another cold day. Watch some college baseball today. The problem with Knicks is they quite frankly, Anthony, I think you'll see a lot of guys playing against Wemby. And again, you're not going to stop them, right? Slow them down and don't let the rest of the team beat you. Wemby's going to get his points. By the way, he hasn't been a force on the boards. I'm surprised because he moves away from the basket way too much. One offensive rebound last night. He's got to be better than that inside in my mind. I think he had 7 rebounds. I think you'll see OG on him. I think you might see Bridges on him, and I think you'll obviously see Mitchell Robinson. I don't think Cat can do it. I agree there, but Cat's going to be important because he needs to get Wemby out of the paint on offense. So if Towns is hitting from outside and Wemby's got to go out, that opens up the middle. Cutters to the basket. Some old school basketball. Carolina in 5 in the NHL. Bobby Valentine was a great prospect till he crashed into a chain link fence. Yep. And shattered his ankle. That was when he was with the Angels. He was a very highly rated prospect. He was really the key to that trade that I just mentioned for Andy Messersmith and Ken McMullen. I did say deflated, yes. Don't let the air out of footballs. I mean, again, you can do a lot of things. We were talking about Brandon Sorsby, right? Brandon Sorsby, he only gambled on his team. He didn't let the air out of football, so it isn't like we should suspend him or blackball him. I know you did. It's fine. You're good. Yes, sir. I can't wait for the ticker tape parade. First one since 1973. I was only 13. I didn't make it. Maybe I'll come down. I don't know. Am I going to be away? When's the series end? 2 weeks, basically. So around the 14th. I think we'll be here. That'd be cool to take a trip to the city. Seals became the Cleveland Barons. Thank you, Neil. Digging up that information. Where the Barons? And where did the Barons go? Seals moved to Cleveland, I believe, in 76 and folded in 1978. NHL had a lot of teams fold in the 70s, didn't they? Because of Mazzilli, the Mets won the 86 championship. Why? He netted them Ron Darling from the Rangers, a big part of the 86 team. That's a good call. Who else did he get in that trade? He was the biggest part. That's a great call, John. And those are little things that people don't think about, right? I mean, I go back, everybody knows that Bobby Mercer is my guy, right? Bobby Ray. And I was devastated when I was 14 years old and Bobby got traded for Bobby Bonds. But in a way, that trade led to the revival of the Yankees' winning ways, because when Bobby Bonds was later traded to the Angels, they got Ed Figueroa and Mickey Rivers, who were key contributors to the 76, 77, 78 teams. So there is, again, all of these things, butterfly effect, right? And Mazzilli, interestingly enough, comes back to be part of that championship team as well. Good call, John. There you go. Cleveland Barons didn't exactly fold. They actually merged with the Minnesota North Stars. There you go. Minnesota had some decent teams in the 70s, didn't they? Before they moved down to Dallas, where our boy CA is. Lived in Whittier most of your life. Now is in Habra. To answer your question, Danny. La Habra, past 8 years. Anthony, stop it. Bird Celtics were low. I'm still waiting. I'm hoping Anthony gives us a little bit more. I'm trying to catch up a little bit, guys. Oh, there you go. It is a different era, and it's tough. I mean, listen, again, I don't want to sound like I'm taking anything away from Bird or any great player. It's very subjective when you get into the best 5 or 10 players in the history of the NBA or Major League Baseball or the NFL. It's very subjective, and different people look for different things. But I just, again, if I was starting a team today, I want the most fundamentally sound guy I can find, and it's Tim Duncan. And if I can't get him, I'll take Larry Bird. It's a pretty good consolation prize. But again, you didn't tell me if you're a Celtic fan, Anthony. That's like people saying LeBron can't play in the old days. And you think so, really? Listen, I think LeBron takes a lot of heat. Listen, and a lot of the heat that LeBron gets, he brought on himself. 100% agree. I got to get through these comments too, because we only got about 15 minutes left. 13 minutes left. LeBron playing a court, and we'll get into the flop things. If flopping the NBA is another thing we're going to have to talk about at some point. We're going to run out of time today. LeBron's a great player. LeBron's been a great player for a long time. He's taken teams to the finals that didn't belong there. He won a championship in Cleveland that he probably shouldn't have won. He's a great player. And I think you could take LeBron. The great players today could play anytime. And the great players from years ago would adapt and become great players today. Most of them. There are guys that the game's so much different today, probably couldn't play. But the great players, Jerry West could play today. Right? LeBron could play back then. Now, he'd get the crap beat out of him because he wouldn't be able to do the LaFlop thing, to use Rick's word for him. I didn't say he wasn't one of the top 5 players. Again, you're totally misunderstanding what I'm saying, John. He just wasn't as fundamentally sound as... And again, it's not by a lot. And you can certainly think that Larry, just stop saying about top player. I'm not even saying Duncan's top 5 player of all time. I said fundamentally sound. Right? Jordan's arguably the number 1 player of all time. Not nearly as fundamentally sound as Bird or Bill Walton, to use Danny's analogy, or I'm sorry, addition to my comment. And again, I mean no disrespect to Larry Bird. I love Larry Bird. Great player. Derpy, 501 or 51st. I don't know how it... Welcome to the show today, Derpy. Good to have you with us. Hope you're doing well. You can tell us who you root for. Who else is out here? Guys, again... Please give me a little like, a little love, even a little hate. I don't care. Give me anything that gives me some engagement here. Comments and the thumbs up, the heart, the laugh, anything. If you think the show's laughable, whatever. 99-03-05-07-14, San Antonio champions, like the Giants every other year. The San Francisco Giants, right? I'm not sure. Every other, just like OKC, I would see. I got you. I think Bird overall was better, but more fundamentally, absolutely not. That's what I'm saying too, Danny. I think I'm getting boxed into a corner. Well, I'll tell you what, he was a key man off that bench. If I'm not mistaken, he might have even won the 6th man of the year award that year, 1 year in the 80s. And I'm not saying he was anywhere near the player he was when he was in Portland at his peak, because as Danny said, at that point in his career in Portland, he might have been as fundamentally sound as Duncan. But Boston still had much better supporting cast. World Cup set to hit Toronto in 2 weeks. World Cup's coming. Do we care? I mean, here's the thing. I care about the World Cup and soccer in general like every 4 years. And if the U.S. plays well, I'll root for them to win. I'll root for them to win anyway, but chances that I'm getting anywhere near winning it is unlikely. Suing the states of Biffle and I don't know, what are they suing Biffle for though, Matt? Romo was a starter. Okay, he took over a holding duty. Okay, very good call. I was thinking he was the backup then. Because the punter got hurt, Grammatica would have hit that field goal. It was short. I feel like they were like on the 5-yard line or something, weren't they? John Gonzalez, we need a couple of UCLA wins today in baseball. You got 2 elimination games for UCLA. We talked on this show about how they got a great chance for a double championship. Now, again, you're going to be on the verge at some point, right, of elimination. I don't think I thought it would come this early for either one of them, but I think they both advanced today. And then the clock restarts, right? So as we wrap it up, what's Keith up to today? Starting the bring back ice beer campaign. Ice beer was a pretty quick fad, man. I was in the beer business at the time. It was huge. And in a year, it was dead. And there's still a couple ice beers. Believe it or not, I'm pretty sure. Actually, the only one I'm sure about still being around is Milwaukee's Best Ice. Tastes like ass. Don't ask me how I know. Good morning, Nick Bodkins from the Bodkins Show. Check out Nick's stuff. Nick, give yourself a little plug if you want. Nick does some great stuff. Was happy to be a guest on his show a couple of Sunday nights ago. Had a really good time with Nick, as I always have. Nick does a great show. He's got the best opening in all of podcasting. I'm telling you right now. Watch the show just for that. Well, don't watch it just for that, but get on there, man. Hello, Nick. Give yourself a plug. Mets traded Dave Kingman to the Padres for Bobby Valentine. Same day they sent Seaver to the Reds for trash. I remember at the time thinking that the Seaver trade would be okay. And it looked okay for a while, right? Steve Henderson played decent in the outfield for a couple of years. Zachary pitched okay. Doug Flynn, great. Had Doug Flynn on the show. Great person, by the way. Had some health problems recently, and we hope he's doing okay. But Doug Flynn was a great defensive player, never could hit. And I think the key guy in that was what was his name? John not Greg Norman. Dan Norman, maybe. He's an outfielder. He was a minor leaguer, and he never amounted to anything. I mean, at the end of the day, none of them amounted to anything over time. And Seaver obviously was still Seaver for quite a number of years, and then ended up back with the Mets. What they call the Midnight Massacre? M. Donald Grant and Dick Young chased Seaver out of town. Do they think the ticket parade for second place? Do they do a ticket parade? Danny's relentless, man. Mickey Rivers or George Foster, 2 of the ugliest players ever played baseball. Oh, my God. Thank God we're at the end of the show. We don't have to get into a debate about ugly players. How about I throw Willie McGee in there, Danny? Mickey had one of the best lines ever, though. In 77, I think it was, when all the crap was going down with Reggie and Billy and George and Thurman and blah, blah, blah. And every night there was a different quote. Reporters were around Mickey, and One of them said, Reggie's over here complaining he's got an IQ of 160. And Mickey says, out of what, 1,000? Funniest freaking thing I ever heard. He also got a speeding ticket, Mickey did one time while he was on the Dan Patrick radio show. Patrick did a radio show at one point in the 90s, like there, 2000, early 2000s, I guess, with Rob Dibble. And they had Mickey on the phone, and he got pulled over by the cops. He got a ticket for speeding and being on his cell phone. LaFlop could play in the 80s. Well, they're complaining in ref meeting. Agreed. And see, the game was different, though, too. So players, if nobody else is doing it, you're probably not going to do it either. And there were some floppers in the 80s, by the way, too. See Bill Lambier. Thank you, Danny. You guys have been tremendous today. I think this is an all-star performance by the audience. Thank you so much. You guys have been so good. I want you to give yourselves a round of applause today. You've been tremendous. Great job. But alas, time to go. So it's been fun. Check out tomorrow. We'll be on with, Jack and I will probably be arguing about something tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. We'll be back on Wednesday with the college football huddle, college sports huddle. Sorry, we'll recap some of the baseball and softball results, as well as some more college football news, college basketball news, and all that. And you guys have a great Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and have a great week as well. I'll be on the golf course and here in front of you at some point this week. So have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.